If you set out to change people's lives, you've got to get every single little detail right. You've got to make sure that the people that you're working with 100% believe in what you're trying to do, and you've got to make sure that what you're trying to do is worthwhile spending your time on. And at the end of the day, you want to be sure that that the people's lives you've affected, you've really you've affected them and benefited them. And if you get all that right, hopefully you'll be able to pay the bills at the end of the year.
I think it's going to be even more challenging with these social networks. That you can run a company, but you also have to make sure that you are a really good communicator, both internally and externally. That's a new challenge, I think, which you probably didn't need 50 years ago or 25 years ago. You could be a good operator, but now you need to be a very good communicator as well, I think. And you have to understand, I think, that there is no end. You just move the goal all the time. Competition is around you every second, 24/7. And you have to make sure that you find a kind of inspirational vision of making sure that your team have the effort to follow you, continuously follow you. And it is really the journey that is the fun part and not really the goal, because the goal is moving all the time. And never, I think, getting tired of the challenge and the competitive environment, rather feeling that is actually the fun of it, that the competition never sleeps and it's going to be there all the time. So I think, again, that it's a different environment of being also as a CEO 24/7. You don't go to bed at 10 o'clock in Sweden and then US, is opening. It's open all the time. And I think that's a different way of being part of everything 24/7.
You then have to try and make it work, and that requires hundreds or thousands of prototypes, all of which are failures, until you get the one success. So we're totally used to failure. A really important one for me was we were developing something that collected diesel exhaust soot. A diesel engine pumps out really nasty NOx and SOx, carbonaceous soot, which is said to cause cancer. So I set out to develop a system for collecting the carbonaceous soot, and I started with cyclones because they're very good at collecting fine dust, so that seemed like the obvious way. And then we developed it in something else. But about 10 years ago, all the car companies and truck companies promised to fit ceramic filters onto their diesel trucks and buses and cars. So at that point we gave up because we wouldn't have been able to compete on price. But in fact, they never fitted them. They all said they were going to, and they never did. We stopped because we thought it was commercially unfeasible. And I feel sad about it, but it was interesting because we learned a lot doing it. Failure's fascinating. It's much more interesting than a success. And it's what we built our lives on.
The most important thing really is to have self-confidence. Really know yourself, to know what you're good at, to know what you're not so good at. Think about whether you can fill those gaps and play to your strengths. Get to know people, whether that's inside your own company or whether that's your customers. You learn so much, far more than you could ever find in a book or a document about what you can do to improve your business. Really find something you love doing, because if you love doing it, people really enjoy working with you. They want you to be on their team, they want to involve you in projects. So actually, that enjoyment, that love of what you do is critical.